Did you get on the bus or did you get in the bus? Were you born on a Tuesday in March? What's on your mind versus what's in your mind? Many people say, just memorize them. But I'm going to show you a better way through etymology, creative visuals, and gravity. Let's see on in these three basic ways. While driving a car, we know that the car is on the road because of gravity. However, when we go into a tunnel, we don't say on the tunnel. We say in the tunnel because our perspective of the situation has changed. Nothing else. These are our first two clues into solving prepositions. First one is gravity. The second one is our own views of the situation, our own reference points. Getting on the bus describes the feet touching the floor. Getting in the bus refers to the interior of the bus, especially when it's raining or snowing outside. Both on and in are correct, but they focus on different aspects of the same situation. We choose the grammar to express our ideas, not the other way around. Remember that. Protagoras said, "Man is the measure of all things." Adjectives such as tall or cold or fast reference to us, something taller than us, something faster than us, something colder than us. Prepositions share our thoughts about the location of the objects around us and in our idea of time. We organize our perceptions of the world around us in the mental list first, and then express those ideas using language, usually with ourselves as the first point of reference. Grammar is simply the written record of the way people in a similar language region express themselves. The root of grammar is graph, gram, to write. Here's a common example using on. Travelers walk on a path towards a city such as London. The idea of being on the path or on the way or carrying on retains the original meaning of being over under a path, moving toward a goal. A horse in a cart would turn off the path to take a rest and then turn onto the path to continue. We keep the same meaning with turn off to rest and turn on to continue. You can also turn on your heels and run away from a dog that has turned on you. Away refers to the path, but we don't care which way. It's just a way. So we throw something away and we run away. It's still on a path. The dog, the horse, the cart, and you are still on the path. Gravity. A typical job of the year 1, 2, 3, 4 is farmer. The farmers work on the field, looking down. The idea remains the same when we are working on a project. We focus on the subject like a worker at a workbench. On also refers to the over-under touching focus of a cobbler or potter or blacksmith. Fishermen on the sea traveled in small wooden vessels, and we use a lot of that language, though few wooden vessels remain. Technology often develops more rapidly than the language we use to describe it. Airport boarding passes refer to the same process of getting onto a vessel to begin a journey. Another example is on the radio waves. People use the language of water to describe a message being carried like a small boat on the waves. We still say on the radio waves today or on the air waves. But how could we say that London was built on the river? Of course, cities are built on the river banks. English speakers frequently cut information that's not vital to the meaning of the sentence. We call these omissions. We can even consider gravity itself, our second reference point, a major linguistic and anthropocentric omission. We don't talk about it directly, but we infer it with words like on or down. Now, imagine a bird on a clothesline. What preposition can we envision by cutting down some of that information? On line. A shirt on a hanger rests on a line, right? Hang on, the Germanic version, and depend on, the Latin version, describe when something can or cannot happen until something else does or does not. The support is what we're waiting for when we say it depends. It depends on. Stopping on a narrow path can also be seen as a dot on a line, like a train station on a train line. Now, speaking about meeting people, how could, say, the horse rider meet her friend the hunter? Would they use cell phone, wristwatch, or calendar? Unlikely. They decided in advance to be standing face to face on some location on the bridge at a decided time. When we cut down all this information that's not necessary, we get on time. Nobody knows for sure how the expression on time came to be, but looking at the prepositions and imagining in a physical environment helps us to remember them in a logical and fun way. If you know of any other ways of remembering on, let us know in the comments below. Let's look at another example of gravity creating grammar. Paper. Writing depends on gravity. Pen and ink are over and paper under, touching. But we can also write on the wall, or on the ceiling, or on our bodies. Whatever is on top is the priority, and whatever is under it is the support. The medieval farmer, fisher, horseman, soldier, or hunter usually didn't read or write. In contrast, the ruling class, educated in Latin, controlled the population through laws, taxes, and regulations written on paper documents. Writing on paper helped the ruling class manage society through the control and measurement of time in calendars, days, and weeks, and months. Special days organized to appease the masses, or holy days, were also organized on paper. We understand the flat and thin paper-like meaning in words like portfolio, foliage, file, or aluminum foil. Schedules were made on paper, as were orders and regiments, or diets. Counting on usually refers to counting on a document. Of course, papers are best used on a desk. So the over-under touching refers to paper and, of course, desks. The literate aristocracy made agreements on tables, made decisions on tables. They did banking on tables. And the word bank simply means an elevated surface, like the river banks, like the banking of a road. The cobbler and potter we mentioned earlier frequently worked on tables or on desks. Speaking of writing, black text on a white background refer to the over-under touching. When we see neither as a priority, we say black and white. We also use on to indicate the over-under priority of information and visuals that we see on a movie screen, on the TV screen, on your cell phone screen. Prepositions help describe our experiences in terms of three-dimensional space. When we have something serious on our minds, there is no real weight, but we act as if there were some real weight. We describe psychological weight with metaphors. We can replace any noun with a shorter, easier pronoun to save some time and make our lives easier. We can also express complex thoughts and feelings and experiences using metaphors. Metaphors are something like pronouns for thoughts. When a player takes a rest from the game, she will wait on the sidelines. When workers organize and demand change, they strike financially against the company by standing on the sidelines too, on strike. On fire is a tricky one to be sure. My only guess is that we can put something on the fire to cook it, or we can put the fire onto something else to cook that too. To insist on can also be understood by etymology. The words insist, resist, assist, consist, persist all have the Latin root sistere, meaning to stand. The metaphor to insist on paying for dinner, for example, means that we are not moving from our position we are standing from. The origin is still gravity. If I'm sleeping on a problem, I stay in close contact with it like the farmer on the field and decide the next day with a clear mind. Now that you have more tools to understand the prepositions, especially on, and to take apart the language, I'm very interested to see how you might describe phrases come on, bring it on, get on with it, move on, carry on. Please share your ideas in the comments below. By the way, congratulations, you have just listened to a native speaker use the target grammar on almost 100 times. Check it. You definitely improved somewhere deep in your brain. Somewhere. I hope this introduction to on opened your eyes a little bit into how English developed over time and why we still use the prepositions in the way we do now. And understanding beats memorization, don't you think? If you find this content useful, subscribe, hit that button so I can continue on this linguistic and creative journey with you.